Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 9 of No Time to Play Today podcast, which is where a bunch of guys come together and we talk about the video games, card games, and board games that we love, but we just don't have time for. I'm one of your hosts, Matt, and with me I got Tony.
Hello.
Lenny.
Good day.
And Shane.
Howdy.
Scott can't make it today. He has Barclay's protomorphosis syndrome, and he has de-evolved into a Canadian goose. Well, actually, he's got the flu, so he can't make it in today. So we're gonna try to do this podcast without him. I don't know how it's gonna go because he's usually the one that holds everything together. And I'm usually the one that rips it all apart, and I'm supposed to be holding on to this podcast now. So we'll see how it goes.
We'll see how it goes.
All right. First, we're going to talk about all the sweet newses that we got going on, and then later on, we're going to take a short break, and then we're going to talk about game surprises, whether video game surprises, board game, or card game surprises. So yeah, how's everyone doing?
Doing all right.
Sweet. All right.
We're all good.
Everybody's great,
Except for Scott.
except for Scott, who can't make it, and we all miss him. Actually, I do miss him, man. He hasn't been around. He hasn't texted me. He usually texts me in a crazy amount, but he's not doing that anymore. It makes me sad.
Maybe he doesn't like you.
Well, that's probably true.
No time to text today.
No, that's gonna be our spin-off show. We're gonna be like, no time to text, and it'll just be like all of us, but we can't hear each other. We're just gonna like say random stuff. Okay, well, some of the news stories that I just have a few here. I don't know if you guys have more, but the first one I want to talk about is GameTrailers.com's website is shutting down. I don't know if you guys ever use that website at all, but I know Lenny does. Lenny actually uses it the most. Right?
Yeah, that was my go-to website.
Which is kind of sad. It was actually I used it a lot because it was a great way just to get. I used to only watch the game trailers because that's what it was when it first started. It was literally just trailers for video games, which is great because I didn't want to care what people thought about video games. I only want to know what they look like.
Yeah.
Is it being replaced by anything, or has it just become redundant?
I'm not sure. It was just tweeted out saying it's like, after 13 great years, it's been one ride, but I guess it's shutting down. I don't know if they're going on to greener pastures, or I don't know what's happening. Do you know anything about it, Lenny? Or
the only thing I kind of got out of it was, they're shutting it down for good. With the advent of YouTube, I think it's really kind of hurt them because that's where everyone goes to get their news and watch their playthroughs and stuff like that. So they could continue on as the Game Trailers channel on YouTube, I guess, if they so chose. But the website itself, there's really no need to have the website, I guess. Mm-hmm. It's just like the no one really goes to it. I mean, people do. I mean, I still do, but
You can get the
far
same
less.
on YouTube.
Yeah, far less than they used to.
yeah, it used to be the main. Well, it was one of the main players, right? Like, there's only a few. Like, it was part of the old guard with like IGN and GameSpot and Game Trailers. That was like the big ones for back then, right? But now there's like everyone, their dog can do it now.
Yeah.
Hell, we can do it. So, so if we can do it, anyone can do it. But, yeah, it was kind of sad because it's like, I actually, well, it's funny because I haven't been on Game Trailers in a while, and maybe it's my fault. It's because
yeah, it's all your fault.
It's like, Matt's not coming to our site? Screw it. We're done here. Shut it down. Yeah. Hit the red button.
All the advertisers are pulling out because Matt's not showing up.
Yeah, it's like, you can't get big players like Matt out here, then.
Yeah, what good are you?
Well, the thing is, though, it's like do you think a company could just survive, like a company of that size survive on just YouTube, though? Because YouTube itself doesn't really pay very well, I don't think, unless you have like crazy views, right?
If you have enough viewers, apparently you can make good money on YouTube.
You can make like $7 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's like the super rare case. Like PewDiePie makes like crazy money, but he has like he's crazy amount of views, right? Like
Yeah.
Have you ever watched PewDiePie?
You know what? I'm trying to be diplomatic. 'Cause,
Yeah.
you know, one day I might be famous.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know what? It's just not my thing. His videos.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. What I'm saying is like, good for him.
Yeah.
I'm also saying
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I know, yeah, and even just like the number of millions of views that some of the things that are popping up on my Facebook feed are. Like there was some girl smushing her face into pancakes because she needed the smell of carbs. 22.7 million hits.
That's crazy.
Like, that's ridiculous.
That is crazy, but I kind of want to see that. So
Yeah. What's the
what's the link to that?
you got the link?
No, I don't have the link. And please don't make me look it up.
The thing
YouTube
is,
it,
though,
she's on there clearly.
I'll just say smelling pancakes or
Smelling pancakes.
well, the thing is though, it's like man, like it is because we're old. Is why we don't get it, because like
Yeah.
and like I'm pretty sure if YouTube was a thing when we were in high school,
Mhm.
man, I could never be a politician. I still can't, but I'm not smart enough for that. There's a weird light. Okay, well, sad news for game trailers, but
Yeah.
things must go on.
Yeah, let's hope they move on to some really, really cool stuff, and I'll certainly watch it.
Yeah.
The two personalities, well, actually three, that I really enjoy. Well, there's actually a ton of them. The big one is
every single one of their shows.
Kyle Bossman. I enjoyed him.
Yeah, he's actually really good.
He kind of falls in with all the kind of stuff that I like, as well as Huber.
I don't know who Huber is.
Huber is the guy that gets like super excited about everything, and then Ben Moore, which is probably more your style, Matt, but he loves JRPGs.
Yeah.
Those are the three big ones.
Yeah, Kyle Bossman is the one
anyway.
I know. I like his stuff. He's like, I like his stuff because it's like he doesn't like when he's not like a critic, as in like when if something's bad or something like that. He doesn't like crap on a lot of things, but he does like incite. It's like, wouldn't it be cool if it was like this instead? Like kind of like puts a positive spin on everything, which is like something that's sorely lacking in the internet is positivity. So
Yeah.
so like when you see someone like Kyle Bossman, like, you know, being really like just like very
Good constructive criticism.
good constructive criticism, and like just a general good guy and likable, then you're doing well. So I hope maybe he could do his own YouTube channel or something like that.
I'm almost certain he could pull it off quite well.
But all right. The second topic that I have, or a second news story, which is really short, but I'm really excited, and I'm a Final Fantasy guy. So, Final Fantasy IX is out now for iOS and Android, which is super awesome. I downloaded it like as soon as I got home yesterday, and I fiddled around with it. It's a really good port. It's actually probably one of the best Final Fantasy ports they've done since 3 and 4. 3 and 4 were really good. But they've had some issues. Like 5 was a little wonky. The art style got a little weird. And 6 has like this really weird battle system action going to it.
Yeah, I didn't like the way they slowly crawled up this bottom of the screen, and
yeah, and then you kind of got confused of where to go and stuff. Yeah, it was weird. And then 7, they just kind of phoned it in, and they just gave you a virtual, like a virtual controller on the actual iPad, which kind of sucks because it's like you can fade it out, but like the buttons are there and like over top of what you're like, you know, as you're moving around and stuff like that. So they're very intrusive. Like, so what I've done for Final Fantasy 7 was I dimmed them as much as I could so you could just barely see them. and then just like kind of memorize where everything was, so I didn't need to see it much. But yeah, wasn't a big fan of that. But Final Fantasy 9 is great. Like, it literally it's an open screen, so you don't even see it. And then when you move it, you just put your thumb up, and you can put your thumb anywhere, and it'll like the analog stick will appear, and then you can move around. Like from anywhere, which some of the other ones do that too. And then the confirm and cancel button don't show up until you're at an interaction point. So it's like if you go up in front of someone, the little thing pops up in the bottom right corner and saying, hey, you want to talk to this guy, or do you want to cancel out? And then you could do that. Or the cool thing about it too is when you go up to people, because the Triple Triad, which is the card game that's not Triple Triad, that's Final Fantasy 8. Tetramaster, which is Final Fantasy 9. So when you come up to them and you want to play Tetramaster, above their little heads, they'll either have exclamation point, so you can talk to them about whatever they talk about, and then the Triple Triad card, which you could just tap that, and then you play Tetramaster. You'll play Tetramaster with them, with the NPCs, and then you'll just go into that mini game. So it's like, it's really good. It looks great. It's like they up-resed all the things to it. The only thing I saw was when you went into a cutscene, it would chunk for the first 3-ish seconds, but then it would smooth out after that, which is weird, but it was just a very little it was just a very little thing. So, like, I'm sure in a patch they could probably fix that.
I have purchased it, and it is downloading now.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the Steam version, which is supposed to be coming out very soon.
Yeah, Steam version I'm going to buy that too.
I'm waiting for the PS4 version because I'm that guy.
And I'll buy that too. Yeah.
Matt's that guy.
Because I'm that guy. I'm keeping Final Fantasy in business. I'm not going to do what I did to game trailers for Final Fantasy.
I don't want to see that happen again. I'm buying everything.
I'm buying everything. Speaking about buying everything in Final Fantasy, the last story that I have is Square Enix is holding a Final Fantasy V event on March 30th.
15, you mean?
15, you mean?
Oh, what did I say?
5.
You said 5.
Okay, Final Fantasy 15. I skipped the X on my show notes here, and I just read the V. Well, Final Fantasy V, it's out, long gone, and it's good. It's a pretty good game. It's great. It was the second one with a job system, but that's fine. But Final Fantasy 15 event is coming out March 30th. It's going to reveal the release date and other details about the game. They had like a little active time report like 2 weeks ago, and they showed like their battle system, and they kind of do this cool thing about they show how far things are along. So they'll have like they'll have this like parry mechanics, and at the bottom it will say 70% complete, and then it has like aerial combat moves, and it'll be like 60% complete, and it kind of shows you how far along it is on all the little things that they do. So it kind of really breaks down and shows you kind of like how they develop things. Like there's a team making this one spot, and like, you know, like a team that's just working on parry stuff and like doing all that cool stuff. And then they showed the really cool base infiltration mission.
Yeah, that video looked very impressive.
Oh my goodness, it looks so good. I'm like, the sneaking around, I'm just like, okay, this is kind of like a Metal Gear Solid.
A little bit, yeah.
And then things go wrong, and I'm like, oh yeah, here we go. And it was just, the combat was just crazy. But the one thing to note is when he was doing the aerial combat in the trailer, it looked a little weird. Like he's kind of like floating around all weird. And after the trailer was done, in the active time report, he said it's like you'll notice that he's doing some weird floating stuff. That's like the last thing they really got to work hard on to fix. So like he even said, which still looked good. I only noticed it a little bit, that he was a little bit of floating. Yeah. But he even mentioned it afterwards. He's like, no, we're going to fix that. Don't worry about that. Like,
nice.
You know, they're already tightened that part up. So I was like, it looked great. I'm so excited for Final Fantasy. Like, I know I'm like a super fanboy for Final Fantasy, but like this game's been like 12 years in the making.
Yeah.
So like, it's so great that they're even saying that it's coming out 2016. Like he's saying,
yeah, they pretty much said 2016. So it'll be interesting to see what exact date it is.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of funny though that they're announcing the date of when they're going to announce the date.
See,
But
and
it's understandable because it's sort of like they need to make sure that they're going to be able to hit their date, because I don't think this is one where many people will
believe it.
no, it's more they won't get the leniency if they have to delay it that some companies will get. So I think they pretty much have to say a date, and that's got to be the date for them.
Yeah. And so that's why I think it's going to be something crazy like in the summer. Like, because they're just waiting until they're so close.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, summertime, it's coming out. Imagine that would be the best summertime game of all time.
I just hope it eventually comes to PC because, yeah.
Oh, it will. They're really kind of open up the PC doors, like with all the Final Fantasy 13.
Yeah.
So.
The other thing that I know that I kind of liked from that video that they showed was how you could bring up a mini menu of a bunch of different swords in your arsenal.
Yeah.
And it sort of
and they hover around
up above his head. Yeah, and you just sort of spin to pick the one you want. And that looked really neat.
Yeah, it was cool because like it was something they actually took out for the demo. They said because like back when it was Final Fantasy Versus 13 instead of 15,
yeah,
it was they actually showed that, but it looked a lot different at the time. Like it was just this weird like they're like ghost swords instead of like the real swords.
Yeah.
And so it was great to see it. They took it out because it wasn't working right, and then they brought it back in. I guess they got it working a lot better. So yeah, it was really cool looking, man. I can't. Oh, it's so good. So good. That's what I'm hoping it's the summer. Although with my goal of beating all the Final Fantasies, if it came out in the summer, that would really put a hindrance on it, and then I'd just be like, screw it, I'll just beat 15 right now.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about that is the event is actually being hosted by the Kind of Funny guys, which are guys I'm a big fan of, Greg Miller and Tim Geddes. They do a lot of stuff. They used to be part of IGN. Now they do their own stuff. But those guys are really cool, and it's really cool to see that, like, one of my favorite podcasters and one of my, my favorite video game franchises are kind of coming together into one event. So it's going to be really cool.
Very cool.
But yeah, that's all the news stories I have. I don't know if you guys have anything newsy or just general things that you want to talk about.
I beat Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah.
that's not newsworthy, but
yeah, it is.
Yeah, first big game victory of the year.
Nice.
Final Fantasy VI on iPad. We touched a base up a little bit on it earlier there, but yeah, I really enjoyed that one. That's my Final Fantasy. So I was really glad to fire that off.
I want you to play. Well, you just bought it.
Mm-hmm.
But I really want you to play Final Fantasy IX and have the thought of Bravely Default in your head when you play it.
Yeah.
Because it really is a game that really shows where that branch of Square Enix went to. So like Final Fantasy IX was like it branched off from there. So they made Final Fantasy X and that was starting to go in a different direction.
Yeah.
But then
that's when they started to have different teams working on the different Final Fantasies, right?
They had different teams before that too, but 9 was kind of like the last true like Final Fantasy of old kind of game.
Yeah.
And it really went back to its roots because like you even saw in 7 and 8, it was kind of deviating from what it was, like what Final Fantasy was, like the classic ones were. And then Final Fantasy was like, okay, we're going back to that kind of style. And then it kind of went back to a 7 and 8 style, only even further beyond that, right? But then when you see, that's why Bravely Default's such a great game, because it's like, this is like, I call it experimental Final Fantasy is pretty much what it was. Because it was like, we don't have the Final Fantasy name, but we have the Final Fantasy feel to it. But now we can have this system that we can try things that aren't the same. Like you have a merchant. You can have a merchant in that Bravely Default game.
Oh yeah, as a job class.
Yeah, as a job class, but it's like, the job system is very similar to like Final Fantasy's job system. So it's really cool to see that it, like, it's still if you want the good old classic Final Fantasy, you could still go and get it. And then they're doing also new cool stuff like 15, right? So it's like they're branching in two different directions. And I think both of them are good, but if you like the classic stuff, you can do Bravely Default or Bravely Second, which is another thing that's coming out at the end of the month.
At the end of this month.
At the end of this month, Bravely Second's coming out. To continue on. Gotta dust off your 3DS, man.
I know. I've got to get the Animal Crossing out of it.
Just throw that
I swear it's
cartridge
not
out.
mine. I'm just holding it for a friend.
Actually, I'm using my 3DS right now because I bought Final Fantasy Explorers because it's me, and I'm having a lot of fun with that game. I beat Ifrit, and I beat Ifrit again because you do like a side quest thing that you have to beat Ifrit again, like on a harder difficulty. And then so I've done that, and I haven't gotten too much further than that. I've just kind of it's been my lunch break game, so I haven't like really dived into it too crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so Final Fantasy VI beaten. That's awesome. Anyone else got anything else?
I don't think so.
Not me, no.
All right. I don't know. Do you guys want to power through, or do you want to take a break?
I'm good to go.
I'm good to go.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna go to my show notes right here and find short break and hit the delete key. All right, here we go. All right. Well, now I have a little thing saying, and we're back, and we're gonna talk about blah blah blah. But now I can't do it.
We're black.
You can just say, and now we're going to talk about.
Or I could do like, it's like, oh yeah, and we're gonna take a break, and then I'd be like, toodaloo, toodaloo, toodaloo. All right, we're back, and we're gonna talk about gaming surprises.
So what do you mean by gaming surprises, Matt?
All right, well, gaming surprises. I'm glad you asked, Shane.
Trying to set you up here.
I know. Gaming surprises. The reason why it came up is that Lenny and I went into a cabin in the woods together. And,
Oh my god.
And it was a beautiful cabin. But we went out with two of our other friends, and we had a guys' weekend that we just ate and played video games, and we had board games that we were going to play, but we kind of fell in love with and got addicted to a game called Gauntlet, which some people might recognize Gauntlet being that old arcade game.
Oh yeah,
that you played
Spent
back in the
many a quarter on that game.
Yeah, so it's been remade. I think it's been remade before, but it's like I think it's for the PS3 and PS4. I think it's for the Xbox systems as well. But
I think you can also get it on PC.
Oh, PC as well. Yeah, you're right. And it was just so good. Like, we had such a great time. And I feel it might have not have been as good as like if we all played it separately. Like, if we
I was gonna say, I think that would be a game, like, it's a total local co-op game where I think that's the best way to play it. Like, you could probably still have fun playing online co-op, but I mean, that's a game that's like, it's a total, you need to have 4 people around the screen playing, and that's when it's the most fun.
And I think with that perfect setup that we had, it was definitely such a great surprise that, like, because we played it and we were gonna like, oh yeah, I want to play this board game and this, like, I had Catacombs and I want to try that out and stuff, but like we ended up just playing. Like, we played Until Dawn as well, because that we were in a cabin in the woods, and Until Dawn is about a bunch of kids going to the cabin in the woods, so we just had to play it. It just seemed right.
Yeah, appropriate.
But every other moment was playing Gauntlet. And we got right to the end boss, and we just couldn't beat him, to the point where I had to be somewhere Sunday evening, and I couldn't. Like, I'm like, I gotta go. Like, it's like we don't have enough time to beat this final boss. So it was like we were so addicted, and even afterwards we're like, oh man, let's grind and get some like items and stuff, and then the next time all 4 of us could come together and like we can finally beat this like final boss and stuff like that. But
that boss is ridiculous.
I think we got him. The best we ever did was half health, I think.
Yeah, just slightly under, I think.
Oh, okay. But yeah, it was such a great surprise. I love it when that happens, like a game that just comes out of nowhere and just like, oh, we'll play, because like we weren't even thinking about it. We're just like Lenny was testing out the PS4 and he just turned on Gauntlet because it was a PlayStation Plus free game. So like he's just like, oh, we'll just try this, and then Mike's like, oh, well, I'll join you, and I'm like, oh, it's a 4-player game, so I'll join. And then we started playing, and just it was like we fell in love ever since, right? It was great teamwork that we had, and it was such a great game. So I lay it down on the table. It's like, what other games do you guys that you've didn't know anything about? You kind of went in blind, and it ended up being like a really game that just sucked you in and drawed you in.
XCOM.
Oh yeah, that's a good game.
I honestly never played it in like the old days, but I remember you had a copy of XCOM on your PC back in our days in London.
Oh yeah.
And that is literally the only experience I had ever had with the XCOM franchise at all. So when I picked it up on Steam, I was just like, yeah, whatever. And I've beaten that game probably half a dozen times, and I know I'm going to beat it at least once this year. It's just one of those games that you get into it. There's a nice groove. There's, good motivation. There's good pace. If you're on a roll, you just can't stop. And I find you ask that question, I say XCOM is the one that comes to mind right away.
Nice. Now, do you name your people, people you know, and then you get really sad if they die?
Short answer, yes. I don't. It's easy to impose, personalities and relationships on the characters that you've got. But after a while, I find that I've just kind of got like the core of like 7 or 8 guys or units that are always out on the missions, and that's that, and everybody else is so underdeveloped that if and when one of them dies, I'm at a critical disadvantage because nobody else is high enough level to replace them at the capacity I need them. But yeah,
it's too bad there's no way to I guess if you rotate your people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what you end up doing. If one of them gets wounded, then you put one of the rookies in. But after a while, you just get so good. Your armor gets so powerful. Your weapons get so well equipped that you weren't taking any damage. You were having flawless executions, and it was great. So there was no damage to be taken. There were health boosts that you can take that increase their recovery times. When they are wounded, they're only half the time recovering. There's so many different ways you can take that game and play it that, it's not sure you've got the same outcome, but you don't take the same path twice.
And I hear that sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, speaking of XCOM 2 is out now, is it not?
Yeah, if it's not out yet, it will be very soon.
I think it came out last Tuesday, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But are you going to be picking that one up, Tony?
I definitely will, but the price point's got to come down a little bit, to be quite honest.
Fair enough.
It's the joy of living in Canada.
Yeah, exactly.
Good old Canadians gotta pay.
I've got some cauliflower I have to buy. So.
What about any other guys? What are surprises for you?
Well, you've already mentioned mine.
Yeah, what was it? Gauntlet?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
That one's ours. That one's it was a bonding experience.
That's right.
No, you had no others
For me, it would go way back to the original Silent Hill.
Yeah.
Scott and I rented that, and we played it, and I wasn't sure exactly what we were getting ourselves into, but that game scared the pants off of us.
Man.
We were playing it late at night. It was sort of a dark and stormy night, and stuff started happening in the game. We're like, okay, we got to stop playing now because we both were absolutely just creeped out, and yeah, it was fantastic.
The creepy part about that game is that it was one of the first games that used the vibration function of the controller.
Yeah.
And it would when something crazy happened, it would vibrate your heartbeat.
Yes.
And I remember I stopped playing as soon as that heartbeat happened, and I've never played the game since. I was like, I might have played it for 45 minutes, but yeah, Silent Hill is such a great such a great game, like a scary game, obviously. But
Yeah.
The last game I played that I felt a little uncomfortable and I had to stop playing from time to time was Dead Space.
oh yeah, like the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that game is really scary. Because that's kind of like the swan song to like the old style horror video game, right?
Yeah.
Because like they don't really make horror games like those ones anymore.
No, yeah, like 2 and 3 and Resident Evil 5, they kind of all fall in the same category. They're more action, less horror, right?
Yeah. Which is what's really too bad about like the Silent Hills, like like when Capcom was it Capcom? Yeah, released PT, which is like a what is it? What was PT stand for?
It
Something.
was Konami.
Was it Konami?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because Konami owns. Yeah, sorry, Capcom's Resident Evil. Konami is Silent Hill.
Right. Sorry. Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, Konami released PT, and it was kind of like a tester for Silent Hills, which was kind of like a reboot of the Silent Hill franchise. And it really felt like back to the old style, like super scary games. And like you can kind of like these days, there's a lot of indie games like that kid. What's the one when you're like the 2-year-old and you're like the 2-year-old and you're possessed by a demon, or you're not possessed, but you see like demons.
Yeah, I forget what that's called.
I watched like a 5-minute let's play of it. I was like, oh god, I can't play that game. But there's that, and then Soma is another good one. But there's a lot of these indie ones that are like, or semi-indie guys that are trying to like bring back that old school like horror feel, like the scare your pants off type games, which is good to see.
I really look forward to like a good scary VR game. That's gonna blow my mind.
Oh man, I'll just be like, I'll be instituted into a psycho ward.
You'll need some therapy after that, eh?
Yeah. What was the other one that I was thinking that was a surprise to me? I have so many surprises like through my own entire gaming life, Shadow of the Colossus. That was a great surprise.
Yes.
Well, if we're going that far back, Eco?
Oh yeah, the first game,
predecessor to Shadow of the Colossus. Yeah,
I couldn't get over how good that game was when I played it.
That was like the first good PS2 game.
Yeah.
Because they're after like a year, because PS2 had a rough launch.
Yeah, I bought when I bought the PS2, I'm like, there's nothing I want, and I bought Summoner.
I'm so sorry.
It wasn't terrible. Well, it probably was, but at the time, I'm like, yeah, it's all right.
Yeah, well, they're doing a lot better these days, but the first year of a console is usually heavy on the graphics, low on the substance.
Yeah.
But then the substance kind of catches up, and because they're trying to figure out, they're playtesting, right? They're trying to figure out what they could do with the new system, right? So, and people like good graphics apparently, except for the Order. No one liked the Order apparently, even though I don't mind the Order.
I thought the Order was fantastic.
But yeah. Anyone? Any other things?
Again, it's going back to the PS2 era, because that's when, we used to go to Blockbuster and just rent games just to try out. Another one that we weren't sure about, but we really ended up enjoying was the original Devil May Cry. Just because the opening was so ludicrous, but it set the tone so well that we just had a blast.
I never got into Devil May Cry. I never even seen any of them. Like I saw them. I knew what the character, like what Dante looked like and stuff like that. But I never. I played. I bought DMC, which is like the remake.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. But I never played the. I don't think it was as crazy as the other ones. Like the other ones were just completely off the wall crazy.
Yeah, it's just the whole setting the tone, and this was back when it wasn't so popular to be the cool sort of anti-hero, but just the opening was just crazy where, someone walks in and throws a sword right through the guy and then he pulls it out and it was hilarious.
Yeah, I think it was the end of the PS2 or early PS3 is when like the anti-hero kind of started becoming a thing.
Yeah.
Well, mostly anyway. Like with God of War.
Yeah.
That's actually the only one I can think of right now.
Spawn.
Oh, Spawn.
Yeah.
Remember that movie? What a great... Well, what a...
What a movie.
What a movie.
What a movie.
It's like Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah, Mortal Kombat.
The first one was awesome, and then everything else was just garbage.
I like the first one a lot.
I do. I even watched the first one, like, not too...
Recently on Netflix.
Yeah, a couple years ago, and I was like, yeah, this still holds up. Like,
yeah.
Well, by holding up, I mean it's like, it's funny because it's like, campy and stuff like that. But
again, so the original Mortal Kombat game was another fairly surprising game because that was one of the first ultra-violent games, and it was using full mocap, so that was pretty different for its time. It was quite something to see.
Yeah, and since it was so hyper violent too, right? Like actually, when it was ported to, I think it was Super Nintendo was the first one, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had to change the blood from red to green.
Oh, that's right. Yes,
because it was considered if it was red, then it would be too violent.
Too violent, yeah.
Which is so funny to think of, like how far we've like not cared about that.
Yeah, we're
now.
so desensitized to that kind of stuff.
Like Dragon Age is like the bloodiest game of all time.
Yeah, I actually went in and turned down the gore on Dragon Age after like the first 15 minutes. I'm like, no, this has got to go.
Well, it's just like everyone's just painted red essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
like there was so much blood it was glitching out in cutscenes.
Nice. Anything else, or any other surprises at all, or probably is good.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, it's a little shorter episode. Actually, I don't even think it is a little bit shorter. Maybe a little bit. But that's our episode 9 of No Time to Play Today. You can actually get a hold of us if you want to email us. You can email us at notimetoplaytoday@gmail.com. We are also on YouTube at, I do believe we are No Time to Play Today. If you just search that. You think you can find us now. Last episode you couldn't, but I think that is fixed now. You can follow me at FFTorian on Twitter. Or FFTorian on Instagram. And I'm not good at it.
How are you doing with that, Matt? What's your latest latest report?
What, on FFTorian? I am...
on your Final Fantasy Crystal
I'm on
Quest.
Final Fantasy 2. And it is brutal for leveling.
Yeah.
I'm really close. I have 2 dungeons left to go. I went into the second last dungeon and got my butt handed to me real bad. So I have to kind of go out and I got to do a little bit of the funky leveling. I got it to the, it's one of those things. It was like really progressive at the time, I guess, but it just doesn't, there's so many more games now that do it so much better, is that the more you do something, the better you get at it.
Right.
But it's affecting everything. So I have to get hit to get more hit points.
Okay.
But there's a little trick I could do. Is there's a spell called Swap, and what it does is it swaps your HP and MP with the enemy's HP and MP. So if you go to a dungeon that's like really old and like there's a bunch of weak guys in there, when you switch your hit points and you got 30 hit points left and you got 10 magic points left. And so that tells the game, it's like, oh, he got hit real bad. So your hit points and magic points will go up. So I pretty much go into a dungeon, have all my guys cast swap, and then they swap hit points. Then I have such high armor class that I don't get hurt from them, kill them, and then go out, get the HP boost, go to the inn, rest up, go back out, and do the same thing. It's brutal to do.
Yeah.
But it's necessary, I guess. Once Final Fantasy II is done, it'll be smooth sailing from there.
Now, is that one where you could also hit yourself to increase your hit points?
Yeah, I was doing that at first, but it's a little tricky. Now, see, the problem is that my characters are very strong now.
Right.
So they do crazy damage. So I can one-hit kill myself if I hit myself. So I don't want to do that, so I have to do this swap spell instead. And the crazy thing about this dungeon is that they have these... I got to figure out a way that I can get my guys to not be confused. Because once they get confused, I'm screwed.
Then they one-hit kill them, their own teammates.
They one-hit kill me, right? So there's one guy that seems to be immune to it. I don't know if it's something that he's wearing or if it is just a natural ability of the character, because the guy's character is like he talks to like he's a really dumb brute guy. Gus is his name, and he's a dumb brute that could talk to animals. So I'm wondering if he's just too dumb to get confused, because he's always confused. But
yeah,
but he never gets confused. Everyone else does, but he doesn't. So I don't know. Hopefully you'll see a video on my FF Torian YouTube channel. What you'll see that hopefully you'll see a Final Fantasy II end guy, because I have the blood weapon. I have everything I need. I just need to get to him now.
Right.
Because the blood sword is like pretty much a crucial weapon that you need to make the fight really easy. So I have that weapon. I have my guys are ready, good to go. I just need to get to the guy to kill him. So once it's there, and you'll see a video, and I'll just smoke the guy, but I just got to get to him, which is the biggest issue right now.
Very good.
All right. Well, that is us. I don't know. Scotto usually does the outros, but I'm hopefully doing an okay job, and hopefully now by the next time that we do this, Scott will be back, and we'll get back to some of the board games and card games. We kind of made it a video game heavy one because all the video game guys are here. We've outnumbered Shane, so he just kind of submitted, and he's like, "All right, I'll talk about video games."
I'm half video games, half card games, so it's all good.
Yeah, but we'll probably bring more board games and stuff for next episode, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But until then, you guys have a great evening.